Welcome to the world of the unknown, a place where truth and fiction walk on the thinnest of line. Today, we are diving into one of the strangest and the most mysterious secret projects in American history. A story that, if even a small part of its truth, could forever change the way we see the time, the human mind, and even parallel worlds. I think this means that perhaps some of the events we are experiencing will happen to us, or we are going to a place we have never been before, that perhaps we will have a brief encounter with that person in parallel worlds. I think that it's really interesting and so weird. This is the Montauk Project. Our story starts at a military base in the eastern tip of Long Island, New York, a place known as Camp Hero. On the surface, it was just another decommissioned military base, but rumors persisted for decades. Whispered that the US government had been running dark and classified experiments there, hidden from the public eye. Some claim that in the 1970s and 1980s, Camp Hero became the center of experiments beyond imagination. Mind control, time travel, and opening gateway to other dimensions. The Montauk story is often tied to another infamous case, Philadelphia experiment. According to conspiracy theories, in 1943, the US Navy attempted to make a warship invisible to radar. The result: the ship allegedly disappeared entirely, and when it reappeared, sailors were either missing, disoriented, or horribly fused into the metal of the ship itself. Now I wanna tell you a dark and weird fact from that project. Survivors of the Philadelphia experiments, according to some accounts, were later brought into the Montauk Project. The suggestion is chilling. Montauk wasn't just a random experiment. It was the continuation of something that had already gone horribly wrong. Eyewitnesses and whistleblowers claim that at Montauk, hundreds of children and teenagers were abducted or recruited for secret experiments. Scientists allegedly built machines capable of reading human thoughts and worse, controlling them. One of the key figures who later spoke out was Preston Nicholas, a man who claimed to have worked inside the project. Nicholas described experiments where psychic soldiers were trained, where thoughts could manifest into reality, and where terrifying contact with unknown being was established. But the strangest claims were yet to come. Nichols and others alleged that Montauk scientists eventually perfected a machine that could tear open rifts in space and time. Through these time tunnels, people were supposedly sent into the past, into the future, and even into alternate realities. And sometimes something came back. One of the most terrifying stories speaks of a monstrous creature that emerged during one of these experiments, an abomination from another dimension that wreaked havoc inside the base. This entity is remembered in local lore as Montauk Monster. For years, all of these was just whispered rumors. But the Preston Nichols went public, writing books and giving interviews where he detailed what he claimed had really happened at Montauk. According to him, Everything was real: mind control, time travel, and interdimensional contact. But here's the problem: there has never been solid, verifiable evidence. No documents, no physical proof, and the US government has never admitted that the Montauk Project existed. As you may have seen in science fiction movies, some characters undergo strange experiments that turn them into superhumans. In the world of comics and cinema, we often find stories where genetic or psychological manipulation gives individual powers far beyond ordinary humans. Sometimes these tales even show us soldiers who become victims of mind control, forced to fight against their closest friend. But this is not just fiction. Historical research reveals that real project once existed with the goal of mind control and the creation of ruthless soldiers. So why has the Montauk Project captivated imagination for decades? Perhaps because it blends the possible with the impossible. Mind control. We know real experiments like MK Ultra did exist. Time travel and parallel worlds. Theoretical physics still debates this idea. And the last one, beings from other dimensions. Hard to prove, but even harder to disprove. And here's a fascinating twist. The creators of the hit series Stranger Things have openly admitted that the original idea was inspired by the Montauk Project. In fact, the show was initially titled Montauk before being reworked into what we know today. The Montauk Project is one of those rare stories that lives in the space between science fiction and reality. Maybe we will never know for sure what truly happened inside Camp Hero, but that lingering mystery, that shadow between truth and myth, is what keeps this story alive. So here's the question for you. Do you believe the Montauk Project was a hidden government experiment or just a story so imaginative that it feels real? Please tell your thoughts in the comments.